of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Diamond is Unbreakable Episode 7. Before I begin, I just want to talk about the opening because there was some changes added to it. Now, they finally added Koichi's stand in the opening, which is great because there's no longer an empty space whenever he poses. His stand actually appears, which is great. Not only that, but they've also added like some new transitions whenever like you cut to one character and you go to like the next character. Like for example, the part where you see Okuyasu and his stand, the hand, you get like a hand imprint and then you cut to like Jotaro and Star Platinum. These like new transitions were actually very nice touches, and with those, plus Koichi's stand, actually makes the opening look a lot better visually. Now, lately I've been noticing that every time an episode of Diamond is Unbreakable starts, something dark happens, and same thing happens in this episode because we get an opening scene of this teenager in his room listening to, of course, Moriocho radio. He was about to like grab his drink, but instead he subconsciously grabbed a mechanical pencil, puts it up directly towards his face, and then gouges his eye. Yeah, that actually happened. But there is a reason for that because this is giving us viewers kind of a hint on what the new enemy stand user's ability is. We then cut to Josuke and Koichi outside their school meeting with Tamami Kobayashi, the previous stand user that we saw before, working now as an informant, gathering some intel on anything strange happening which might be connected to enemy stand attacks. And he decides to tell this new info to Josuke and Koichi. Now it turns out that the guy we saw from the opening scene happened to be a friend of this one high school student, Toshikazu Hazamada, who coincidentally goes to the same school as Josuke, Okuyasu, and Koichi. Apparently they've gotten to like an argument, one insulting someone's favorite anime or pop idol, who knows. And I guess Toshikazu got pissed off and decides to have his friend gouge out his eye. And what's really creepy is that he wasn't aware that he gouged out his own eye. He said, "Next thing I knew, I was staring at my left eye, which I gouged out with my right eye." Yeah, that is creepy. So hearing about this, Josuke and Koichi decide to investigate. They go to Toshikazu's locker, break in, and try to see if he has the bow and arrow, which, you know, we all know he doesn't have it. And if he did have it, he sure as hell wouldn't keep it in his locker. He probably would keep it somewhere even safer because the locker would be like way too obvious. So far there wasn't anything suspicious in his locker, except there was this one doll that was used, I believe, for like art sketches for art classes or something, which turns out to be Toshikazu's stand, Surface. Surface is a stand that can transform into anyone who comes in contact with it, whoever touches the doll, and it can perfectly replicate the person who touches it head to toe, but the only difference is it has like a screw or a bolt on its forehead. So that's the only difference you can tell on who is the Surface stand and who is the real person. Not only that, but it has the ability to control a person's movements on whoever it transforms. In this case, it can control Josuke's movements. So yeah, we got ourselves like another transformation type stand, but also a type of possession stand. However, unlike the previous stands that we saw before that can transform, the stands would transform the stand user. It's actually the stand that can transform. And in the case of possession type stands, Surface doesn't really have to like go inside a person to possess the person or use mind control or anything. All it can do is just like control its target's movements. There seems to be like a certain range for it to work because if Josuke and Surface were like really far away, Surface wouldn't control his movements. But if they're like close enough, then Surface can control his movements. In this case, he controls Josuke's movements with his arm, like hitting the locker with his elbow. And the real Josuke accidentally hits Koichi so hard he sends him flying, smashing through the door. Hating the fact that he was controlled to hurt his friend, he got pissed off and he summons Crazy Diamond to attack him. Unfortunately, Surface was out of Crazy Diamond's range, so he couldn't hit him. He tries to throw a projectile, in this case a pencil or pen, at Surface, but he just catches it. He then tosses the pen to Josuke and uses its ability to make him stab himself like close to the eye so that he would hurt himself or probably like cut off some nerves so he wouldn't see again. He pushes the pen so hard, then you hear this squelching sound, and then Josuke falls to the floor. Toshikazu shows up, and he was actually there the whole time, and he has this ulterior motive to use his stand to beat up Jotaro, to chase him out of Morio because he doesn't like him snooping around. But before they leave, there was words written on Surface's hair saying squelch, and it turns out that it was Koichi's stand who used its ability to trick Surface into thinking that he actually hurts Josuke. So yeah, even though after he was hurt, he was still able to use his stand to help Josuke. But at the last second when Josuke hit Koichi, he was still able to use his stand to at least heal his broken bones. So yeah, kudos to Koichi, but also to Josuke as well. So since they knew that Toshikazu was trying to get to Jotaro, they tried to call him to warn him, but they were too late because Surface got to Jotaro first, setting up a meeting at Morio Station. And Josuke and Koichi have to get to Toshikazu before it's too late. So this basically was more of a race against time kind of fight. Now Toshikazu and Surface, some of the girls in their high school were saying goodbye to Josuke, and one of them even gives fake Josuke a love letter. But with Surface, which by the way is another stand that actually gains sentience in a way, he doesn't care really. He's more focused on the goal to get to Jotaro, but Toshikazu gets jealous and really pissed off, wondering what is it about Josuke that makes him more popular than him, to the point where he even punches his own stand, which is really stupid because he hurts himself and his stand is made out of wood. So anyway, Toshikazu wipes the blood off his hand on some guy's bike who gets really pissed off at him and insults him, calling him like a dying cricket or something. His friend finds it funny, but Toshikazu doesn't. So he uses Surface to like karate chop the friend on the head, which, oh my god. And then he holds on to the other guy, and Toshikazu has a box cutter, which he has apparently, okay? And he was about to like, I think it was about to like carve his mouth or something, cut it open, or maybe like cut off his teeth, I don't freaking know. Although if you think about it, it was kind of funny that he had to like jump up and elbow the guy in the face. But then there was a shard of glass flying towards at him, which Surface grabs. And it turns out it was Josuke and Koichi who caught up. So the whole reason why Josuke threw the glass was to use his stand ability to repair a bottle that was broken, trapping Surface's hand, breaking it apart, so that way they can really tell who is the real Josuke and who isn't. By the way, once the hand was broken, the hand returned back to its wooden form, which freaks out Surface, but Toshikazu just tells him to like put his hand in his pocket so no one would know, and they have to hurry to get to the station plaza. Now overhearing this, Josuke and Koichi now know where they're going to meet Jotaro, and Josuke has a plan to slow them down, which involves with Koichi. Toshikazu and Surface were running towards the station, but they hear this dinging sound, which they know that a train is coming. So they have to like run through the station. Thinking that he won, he got all cocky and was like laughing. But he noticed that there was no train at all, and he sees Josuke and Koichi running across the train tracks. And it turns out that Koichi used his stand to create the dinging sound effects to trick them into thinking there was a train. So yeah, once again, kudos Koichi. So they were the first to make it to Jotaro, and they warned him about Toshikazu and his Surface stand. But suddenly, Josuke, for some reason, goes up to Jotaro and grabs his pen. And it turns out that he was being controlled by Surface again. Which, okay, I have a question. How did he know that Jotaro would have a pen in his pocket, at least inside his coat? So, like, okay. But anyway, he has the pen and he was being controlled by Surface to kill Jotaro by stabbing the pen right into his head. Which, honestly, I think that's kind of dumb because, one, Jotaro dealt with a pen used by a person who was possessed back in part 3, so I don't think it would have fallen for something like that. Two, I don't know if Jotaro would get killed instantly by a freaking pen, but from the way that Josuke was like swinging at Jotaro, it looked like he was aiming at his neck. So if he did like hit at a vital spot, maybe it would cause Jotaro to like bleed out and maybe die. But then again, I don't believe Jotaro would die. I mean, he was more focused on trying to see Toshikazu and the fake Josuke. But maybe if he was like aware of what was going on behind him, he could have like used Star Platinum to just grab Josuke. And if he was to kill him with a pen, then he would have to use a lot of force to do it. But at the end, it didn't work out because the two bikers from earlier caught up to Toshikazu because apparently Josuke told them where Toshikazu was going to be and he healed them. Which they didn't really question how he healed them, but they were grateful for him anyway. Josuke was free from Surface's control, which was reverted back to a wooden doll again, and they beat up Toshikazu. Well, that's quite a way to defeat an enemy stand user, but then again, now that I think about it, it kind of reminds me of how Oingo and Boingo were defeated. So yeah. So Josuke, I didn't know if this was part of his plan, but I think that was like a backup just in case something bad was to happen. So Josuke is a quick thinker, I guess. We then get the ending scene with Toshikazu in a stretcher heading to the hospital. But right behind our main characters, there was a lamppost that was emitting some sort of electricity, and it turns out it's Red Hot Chilli Pepper who emerges out of the lamp, who still has the bow and arrow, by the way, and he says, "What a fool. Well, you have my condolences." And he disappears without the main cast noticing, and that is where the episode ends. God damn it, I really want to see Red Hot Chili Peppers again. So yeah, that was episode 7. Overall, I think this was another good episode. Toshikazu as a character, he's just a pretty messed up piece of shit, honestly. Even worse than Tamami, maybe. But I will admit, his stand is actually pretty cool. I mean, it's a wooden doll that can transform into anyone who comes in contact with it, and it can control the movements of its target. Which, in hindsight, is really good for interrogation. But that is if the stand belonged to like a notorious spy or a serial killer or a terrorist. But in this case, it's a whiny little jealous high school student. And what's even more messed up about Toshikazu is that he used his stand to like replicate his like high school crush, which he tried to hook up with his own stand, which is really messed up. I mean, like, seriously, you copy your crush using your stand, and you try to make advances towards your own stand, but apparently his stand did some things to piss him off. Which, now that I think about it, even though it does perfectly copy a person, it doesn't really copy its personality, And it's cool seeing another stand that's more sentient, because we haven't seen that since Anubis. I think that Surface's like personality was Toshikazu's own, which you'd think with his own personality, he would get along with someone like that, but it would just make him pissed off even more, I guess. I'm not sure really, but Surface was actually an interesting stand. However, there was a part in the episode that really did bug me. In this one scene where he introduced himself, the stand, you can clearly see the word Surface, its stand's name, but in the Crunchyroll subtitles, they called it Show Off. Like, seriously, I know it's a copyright thing, but I mean, it's Surface, it's a word. You can like say Surface, right? But I guess Crunchyroll doesn't want to take any risks or something. But I mean, honestly, it just reminds me of like the Oingo Boingo title on Toto, whatever. And then later on, it doesn't appear on the stand itself anymore, even though they're called Oingo Boingo, but they're renamed Zenyatta Mondata. One of the things I like about this episode was seeing Josuke and Koichi working together as a team, which was great because they work great as a team. And it's great to see Koichi using his stand to help out Josuke. And I'm really hoping to see more teamwork between the two, but also with Okuyasu as well, because he hasn't shown up in this episode. And, it was cool seeing Jotaro again, although I'm still waiting for his chance to shine, which I hope it's soon. And it was cool seeing Red Hot Chili Peppers again, but honestly, his cameo, the whole reason for that was just to remind us that there's a main plot going on, which we've kind of been off focus with that ever since the previous episode with Tamami, So, I'm wondering when we're going to really see Red Hot Chili Peppers, when we're going back to, the main plot, because I feel like lately, now that the episodes are focusing more on seeing the new stand users in Morio. And considering that Toshikazu is in the opening, he's obviously going to be an ally, but I'm not sure how exactly, because his surface stand was kind of destroyed. Well, at least the wooden doll is, which I have a question about that. The stand is bound to the doll, we know that, but what happens to the stand? Because the doll is destroyed. So is Toshikazu going to get another doll so that his stand surface will bind to that or something? Because did they technically destroy the stand? Or I don't know, I'm a bit confused on that. But then again, maybe it's like with Forever Stand Strength or something. Or maybe like ZZ's Wheel of Fortune, I don't know. Now, there are two more characters I do have to talk about. Tamami. Now, I really didn't like Tamami in the previous episode, but seeing him as an informant, I actually don't mind that. And he also has a new job, which is a loan shark, but hey, he's making progress, I guess. There was actually a scene in the episode where he meets Toshikazu and his stand, which he didn't know that was his stand. He thought that was a real Josuke, which, by the way, grabs a brick and slams it on his head, knocking him out, and it was on the ground. And what was funny about this, and kind of sad really, is that Koichi and Josuke passed by him unaware that he was on the ground. And what was funny is that you still see him on the ground bleeding, unconscious. And you have the narrator saying, meanwhile, unknown to anyone else, Tamami was admitted to the hospital. It was actually funny and kind of sad really, so I kind of felt bad for Tamami. But then again, he was a bit of a coward, like he didn't want to like go help out Koichi and Josuke. Which, by the way, he still calls Koichi Koichi Dono. And he had this like great admiration to Koichi when he said that even though he's scared, he still wants to go help out and do something, because if his town is in danger, so is his family, so he wants to like help out, which again, mad respect for Koichi. It was really funny seeing like him getting all teared up and emotional, but yeah. I guess that's it from Tamami, I guess. I don't know. And another character I have to talk about was this one girl that we actually see briefly, who was looking out the window seeing Josuke and Koichi, and she was blushing. This character was actually in the opening. So she is another stand user, and we'll get to her eventually, because there's some things about this character that I kind of know, but I really can't get into. Animation artwork I thought was good overall, but I felt like it was kind of off when Koichi got hit by Josuke. Like the way his face looked and his eyes wide open and the tongue out of his mouth or something. I don't know if it's just me, but maybe it's just me. But in terms of like music, sound, and voice acting, it was really good. Yuki Ono voicing the fake Josuke, aka Surface, was actually really good, especially when he like freaks out over his hand, which I thought was pretty funny. So he did a good job voicing the fake Josuke. And Toshikazu is voiced by Hiroki Shimowada, who actually hasn't voiced a lot of anime, but he did voice Shoyo Takahama from Bakuman Season 2 and 3, Kazuki Kohori from Lovely Complex, Ranmaru Mori from Sengoku Basara, and Tomoe from Wolf's Rain. Right now, I'm really liking the creativity of these new stands, and I am looking forward to seeing more of them. But I've been noticing lately that we've been like going off like the main plot at the moment with finding the bow and arrow, which I can understand why, because we need to introduce the other stand users that Keicho has created, which, by the way, Toshikazu is another one of those victims. Considering that Toshikazu is going to be an ally, I'm not exactly sure how he is going to be an ally. I don't even know if I want him to be an ally, considering that he's a piece of shit and tried to get it on with his own stand. That's weird. I mean, like, he tried to, like, flirt with his own stand, you know, because he couldn't actually, like, try to flirt with the real person. Again, that's really messed up. And how he was defeated was actually something I was not expecting, which kind of reminded me how Oingo Boingo was defeated, because at the end of the day, it wasn't Josuke or Koichi or Jotaro that defeated him. It was just a bunch of random bikers that did it, which I thought was funny, but we'll probably see Toshikazu again later on, who knows when. I hope we don't stray too far away from the main plot, because I really want to see Red Hot Chilli Peppers again. I really want to see the stand user, but I guess it's only a matter of time. I'm not sure when, maybe in a few episodes or something. So yeah, tell me guys, what did you think of episode 7 of Diamond is Unbreakable? Did you like it? Did you hate it? So what did you think of Toshikazu? And what did you think of his stand surface? Honestly, I liked his stand a lot more than the stand user. The stand was really cool, and we got another sentient kind of stand, really. Also, what did you think of Josuke and Koichi as a team? Because I think they work really well together, and we get to see Koichi stand in action again, which I did appreciate. Tell me your thoughts about the episode in the comment section down below. Like the video if you like it, and subscribe to more videos, and be sure to check out my Facebook fan page and Google+. So yeah, that is Diamond is Unbreakable episode 7. With that being said, I'm gonna respond 27. Oh, I almost forgot to mention this. There are actually 2 names that I believe are references used in the episode. The first one was at the beginning scene. It was Forever 21 Pretty Baby. I'm not sure what this is a reference to, but I feel like it might be a reference to something that will happen later on in part 4, or maybe like a character that will appear later on, like how R.I.P. Big Bro is like a reference to Okuyasu. The second reference was when Surface was talking about Perman, a copy robot, which, looking it up, it's actually anime and manga series that came out back in the 60s. So yeah, a reference to another older anime manga series, which I actually thought was really nice. So yeah, that's basically all I wanted to say. So yeah, now I'm done. So yeah, later guys, see you in the episode 8 review. Bye.